people are, just second guessing it or have different expectations coming in, it's really good to talk about that with the counselor. So let's say you met the counselor and then you just feel like they're just going down a different path, or you don't like the direction that they're going. Well, usually you can talk to the counselor, and there's like other ways and other directions that we can go. We can talk about that. So before you just close the book with that counselor, ask them, is there another way we can go? Welcome to the StressLess Podcast by Total Life Counseling Center. I'm Jim West, and this is Dana West.
Hi.
Well, today we're going to be talking about making the most of therapy or counseling sessions. Some people ask, how do I maximize this? How do I get the most out of my sessions? And those are really good questions. And so I think, as therapists, we want to help you with that and address those things. And a lot of times people might not even ask a lot of the things that they're thinking or they're concerned about or worried about, or maybe they don't even like the direction that we're going in a counseling session. And there's just so many different ways we can go.
Yes. Right. So we'll dive into it. So I think the number one thing is the attitude that you have coming into therapy. And the attitude, I believe, is just to be open, especially if it's a new experience. We get a lot of people, new clients that have never been in therapy before. So it's natural to come in anxious,
right,
and not know what to expect. And don't let your anxiety stop you from getting help, because that's normal and natural. You're coming into a professional's office that doesn't know you.
Yes.
And you're thinking, wow, I'm going to share my life story or what I'm struggling with this person.
Sure.
And so you can have anxiety. But what happens really in the counseling process with all of our therapists is we want to provide a safe and nurturing, non-judgmental environment. And after some time, most of our clients realize, wow, this is a safe place where I actually can share my anger, my sadness, my disappointments, my struggles, because number one, we're not in your personal life. So this is a safe place where everything's 100% confidential. And that actually can be really relieving, knowing that I can share something that may be a secret or something I don't want my friends or my employees or my family to know, that I can go to this safe place where it doesn't leave this room, and I have someone who's not personally involved in my life to listen, to help guide me, and to support me through whatever I'm bringing in that session. So the number one thing is to be open-minded. Sometimes people come in, especially because you work with kids. Do you have kids that come in that don't want to be there at all?
Yes, I had one yesterday.
Yeah, so how do you work with that?
Well, I try to find a connection. I try to build rapport with them. And what I love about our information packet, we find out what people's hobbies are. And in so doing, we find something usually in common, because I played sports. I've actually done drama. I've done, I track my car. So these are just all kind of things that boys like. And that's pretty cool. We have a video game, Xbox and a 7-foot screen in my office. And so that's another way. We have cards and Uno and Jenga, just all these kind of things that we do to just kind of build rapport, with and play and hang out with them.
Great, because, not every single person who needs help or needs counseling is open. We would prefer that because the process can go quicker. But as therapists, we're all trained, just how Jim was giving examples, how to connect with people who are apprehensive or don't want to be in therapy.
Sure.
And most children and teens don't willingly say, sign me up, I want to go to therapy. Yeah. Some do, and I actually love working with teens like that, but some don't, and we have specialists that can work around it, just like Jim and others here.
Yeah, a lot of therapists are trained they call it psychoanalytical or psychodynamic, and it's a helpful form of therapy, but it's not very relational. And it makes people think like the therapist is perfect, and it makes it hard for them to open.
And I'm perfect, and so are you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I tell that to everybody. I tell all my friends how perfect my wife is.
And we have a perfect marriage.
Yes, we're going to talk about that in the next podcast.
And you need to learn from us because we're perfect. No, we're human, just like everybody else.
Right,
and we all need tips and tools and help.
Yeah, we do. We do need that. And so it's neat to sometimes share something that whenever they do share something they're struggling with in their friendships, their relationships, or as a parent, I'll say, "Yep, I've done that too," and it just makes them go, "Oh, really? Okay." And it's like, what do you do about it? Well, I apologize to my kids, if I yell or right. I mean, we do make mistakes, and I think it's just kind of how we handle mistakes. We're not going to get rid of mistakes. We're
No.
not going to be perfect, and trying to be perfect is exhausting.
Yes.
So I don't know. I see some perfectionists sometimes, and they really beat themselves up, and they're
Yes.
hard on themselves, and so so it's, I think to make the most of it, just be real, open up. It's okay. And what we pride ourselves in is hiring people that are relational. So if you're looking for someone, look for a counselor that is approachable and that's real, and that will share a little bit to just kind of let you see that they're just another person on the same journey in their life.
Right. And I think I brought this up in another podcast that the research has shown the biggest predictor of success in therapy is the relationship you have with your counselor. So it is very relational. So you want to pick someone who you feel like you could talk to. That's why it's so important to read bios. We offer complimentary calls if you want to ask questions prior to your first appointment. And you want to just do your research and see and be like, I think that's a man or a woman I could talk to about my deep, dark secrets or things I struggle with or I'm not proud of. And so it's really important to find that match, as well as someone who's an expert in that particular mental health issue or relationship issue that you need addressed. So, that's
beautiful.
So what are some other things that help determine success in therapy?
Whenever people are, just second guessing it or have different expectations coming in, it's really good to talk about that with the counselor. So let's say you met the counselor and then you just feel like they're just going down a different path, or you don't like the direction that they're going. Well, usually you can talk to the counselor, and there's like other ways and other directions that we can go. We can talk about that. So before you just close the book with that counselor, ask them, is there another way we can go?
Yes, because honestly, what makes a success in your session or in therapy is being a very active participant. We want to know what treatment goals you want to work on. What do you want to deal with? And so if there's ever something that you're uncomfortable with, or you want to talk about something else, you have every right as a client to do that. And that's what's going to produce more results in your counseling sessions.
Yeah, exactly. And so, I think it's just really great to just be, like you said, an active participant and just be involved in that whole process. Is there anything else you can think of?
Yeah, many more. So another one is being fully authentic and transparent. So I do know, when you're first meeting someone, you want to build that relationship and build rapport. So you might be very shy or timid or unsure if you want to share maybe the biggest reason why you're there. And that's okay. But I do encourage you to push through that uncomfortability and to be transparent and to really share your deep feelings or thoughts that you're struggling with. Because that's the only way you're going to get better. As a therapist, we can ask questions and try to draw out some answers, but if you want to get the most out of your session, it's really coming in, being real, and sharing what you're struggling with.
Yeah, that's really important, being honest with us. Because I've had clients not be able to be honest, just not sure what to expect if they are honest, and you have to realize that therapists, we hear a lot of things, and so we're not shocked very easily because we've heard a lot of different things, and we're here to help people. We're not here to judge people. And so it is important to be honest, because if you're not, then we go down the wrong road.
Right.
We go down the wrong path of healing for you. And then you're not getting any help. And then, you feel like it's a bad experience for you. So it's very important to be honest so we can try to take you down or guide you down the right path.
Correct. And then also think about in relationships, how many times have you heard someone ask, how are you doing today? I'm good, which could be true. Some days are really good, but then some days we're not being honest. I feel like sometimes we just keep it surface.
Right.
And my other favorite thing is when someone says, I'm fine. Fine. And I always say that's a lie because the acronym of FINE is like I'm fearful, insecure, neurotic, and emotional when someone's saying they're fine. So you don't have to be fine coming into counseling. Yeah. And actually, there's going to be some times in the process, say you're committed to the counseling process, and after 2, 3, 4 sessions, you're actually starting to feel good
fine. You're feeling
or
fine.
fine.
Sure.
And you think, oh, I'm done with counseling. And you don't think you need it anymore. But honestly, that's not an indicator of you're done with counseling. It's really a relational thing where you talk to your therapist saying, I think I completed my goals and I'm done with counseling. But most of the time, we do start feeling better and we think we don't need it anymore. And we don't, or we want to cancel our session because we're having a good day.
Sure.
But reality is, this is what I tell my clients to do, is that day might be a good day, but 4 days ago, you could have been really struggling with something.
Right.
So I encourage clients to take notes during the week and kind of journal the days or the things that they were really struggling with. That's smart. Because I do know there is good days, you know, and then you think, well, what am I going to talk to my therapist about? I feel good right now. But it's a good reminder to remember when you're not, because then I'll hear from my clients later, oh, I had a terrible day 2-3 days later and I should have came in. And I'm like, you have to trust the therapeutic process and know that sometimes it takes time and it's a journey.
It does, yeah.
I mean, honestly, there's only a really minimal amount of mental health issues that takes 1 to 2 sessions to address. It usually takes some time. That's why sometimes people think, well, how long do I need to be here? How long will counseling take?
That's a good question.
And it's really individualized and it changes, and it's something that you talk with your therapist ongoing about what you think is working, not, and how long you want to commit to the process.
Well, you know, I think when people grow up with, let's say, a lot of dysfunction, I grew up in a lot of dysfunction in my family. And so when things are going good and you get out of that environment and you're feeling good, you just feel like, oh, wow. So this is my 100%. Let's say I'm like functioning at like 100% right now. And really they're functioning, let's say, at 70 or 80%. And so they leave, but, you know, with some unfinished work and then some unfinished, you know, goals. So it's important to, you know, we write out treatment plans and what we list out all the issues and concerns that families come in with, or individuals. And then we come up with a plan to work through all those things. And so sometimes whenever people are feeling good, we like to call them up and go, hey, I haven't seen you in a while. Like, they just maybe drop off our calendar and we'll call them and go, how's things going? And they're like, well, you know, we're doing pretty good with this, this, and this. And then I'll look at their treatment plan. And then we don't think we need counseling anymore. And then I look at their treatment plan. I'll go, well, there's this goal. How's this going? They're like, oh, you're right. You know, we do need to work on that. And then they come back in and we work on those, you know, remaining goals. So it is one of those things where you just need to come. If you feel like you're done, come talk to the counselor. Let them know how you're doing, how you're feeling, and then we can just make sure that we work through all the goals. And of course, a lot of times that happens too. And then we're able to go, hey, you met your goals. Great job. You did the work, and I'm really proud of you. Let me know if you need me in the future. It was great working with you.
Yes, and also...
And that's fun. That's rewarding, you know, to do that. So anyway, I'm sorry.
It's okay. I was just going to add about... being patient with the therapeutic process as well. Sometimes people come in, and especially that first session, we're getting to know you and it's an assessment. And so I know we both try to give a tip and some tips prior to the session ending, but sometimes you might leave a session not feeling really good or hopeful because you are sharing deep, dark feelings from trauma or other marriage issues or other relationship issues, and you think, well, gosh, this isn't helping me, or I'm not changing. Yeah, right. But when it comes to doing trauma work or marriage, it takes time, and you have to trust the process. So don't get discouraged if you feel like my life hasn't transformed so quickly in a couple of sessions. The goal is, you know, you're building rapport, you have the goals, and you are starting to see that there's some tips and some tools that you're given that are improving something. But sometimes it does take time. And so I say don't quit before the miracle. Sure. Because I work with a lot of trauma survivors, and they want to avoid therapy too. I had plenty of days I did not want to deal with my deep, dark feelings, and I wanted to avoid it. And trauma survivors, most of us have post-traumatic stress disorder, and part of PTSD is you want to avoid any triggers that are going to talk about the actual event or trauma. So it's so normal and natural to have those feelings like, I don't want to do this today. Yeah. And I know in my past, when I was working through my traumas and sexual abuse, that I had many of those days. And then I realized those were the days I really needed to go to counseling.
That's right.
Because
that makes sense.
It helped me to continue the momentum and to address what I've been wanting to avoid to address my whole life, but then it comes out behaviorally if I don't.
You have to feel to heal, right?
100%.
Sure.
You do have to feel to heal. And I feel like in our culture especially, we think we have to be happy all the time, or we just don't want to deal with hard things. But if we don't deal with hard things, we're not going to get to the other side, which is the blessing and the miracles and having it be really in our past.
Yeah.
Some people think that's the past, so I don't want to deal with it. But the reality is, if you keep saying that, eventually you're going to have to deal with that past.
Yeah.
And I've had plenty of clients that will come for a while and then they'll drop off and then they'll call me in crisis again. Come, drop off, come in crisis again. And to be honest, it makes me feel sad because I know if they sticked with the therapeutic process and was consistent, their goals would have been accomplished in a much quicker amount of time than consistently going in and out and having different relationship or depression or other episodes of just
they were just motivated by crisis and it's really sad. It's really, but I'm sure you process that with your clients, right? When they do come back in and just say, hey, when things start getting better, please don't, please let's continue the counseling process. Let's work through your goals first.
Yes, especially if your goal was not accomplished yet.
Sure.
Because we do want you to feel better. That's why you're here.
Yes.
And I really wish therapy was one size fit all, meaning like when you go to a medical doctor, there is different treatment sometimes for physical ailments, but there's not. In the field of mental health, there are so many different interventions and tools that we're training in our toolbox, and not everything works for every person.
Right.
So that's what makes therapy unique, and not because as individuals we all are unique.
Sure.
Think about all the different values we have, or backgrounds, or interests, or point of views on life. So it's not one size fits all in therapy. Yeah. So that's why sometimes it does take a little bit of time. And you just need to be a part of that process, talking about your expectations, your feelings, what's working, what's not working.
Right. You can, once you heal from your past, you can move forward because you can't look backwards and forwards at the same time, right?
Yeah.
So we have to heal from our past to realize our goals and our purpose for our future.
100%.
So, well, guys, listen, this has been another StressLess Podcast by Total Life Counseling Center with Jim West and Dana West. Thank you for tuning in. We'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.